Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Thank you. Welcome to the Franklin Recreation Complex. I recognize a lot of familiar faces. We are happy to have you all here for National Walking Day. This is a day of recognition set up by the American Heart Association to place significance on the importance of walking towards an individual's everyday health. Williamson County government, through Williamson County Parks and Recreation and the Williamson Medical Center, have worked together to put on a series of community health presentations today. And to get us started this morning, we have Clayton Chapman. He is the Director of Rehab Services from Williamson Medical Center. He is here to talk to you today about walking, its overall importance towards your physical health and well-being, as well as the services that are provided through the medical center's rehab facilities. Mr. Chapman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I was talking to someone before this presentation. It's just like church. The back rows fill up first, you know. My name's Clay. I would like for this to be as informal as possible. So if you have questions at any time, please feel free to speak up. You don't have to save your boos or applause till the very end. But yeah, okay. So first I wanted to take this opportunity to tell you a little bit about rehabilitation services at Williamson Medical Center because I have a captive audience, and anytime I can talk about my department, I love to. I'm the director. We have occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech therapy, both inpatient and outpatient. Outpatient is more what I would like to highlight for you. There at the medical center, it's very convenient if you already have a physician you're seeing in the building. We're on the ground floor. We see everything from pediatrics to geriatrics. Our youngest patient is less than a year old, and the oldest patient won't let me tell you how old she is. So we also have outpatient cardiac rehab, which is very popular in the community. It's so popular, we typically have a waiting list for that service. It's something that has been very popular in the community, and we've got lots of great outcomes and lots of great feedback from that particular program. If you're interested in any of those programs, we have a brochure that's available that will highlight some of those things. The smaller brochure talks about OT-PT speech. Of course, I'm always a great resource. And we also have our annual report that there's a section on page 28 that talks about cardiac rehab at the hospital. With that being said, I've been asked to talk today to you about the benefits of walking. And it's very appropriate this time of year. Finally, we've got a pretty day out of, it seems so many gray, dark, cold days. We finally have a pretty one. So it's a good day to talk about walking, and it's going to be a good day to go out and take a walk here in a little bit. So, as we know through scientific research and even our own experience, physical activity is one of the cornerstones of a healthy lifestyle. In fact, it's essential in order to have a healthy lifestyle. I always make the analogy, your body is like an automobile. If you take care of it and you have regular maintenance on it, it's going to last a lot longer than if you don't take care of it. If you don't change the oil on your automobile, if you don't change the tires, if you rag it out, it's not going to last nearly as long as if you were to take care of it. Your body's the same way. So in addition to diet, sleep, lifestyle choices like choosing not to smoke, choosing to have a low-stress lifestyle, physical activity is a part of all that, and that's the part that I want to focus on today. Specifically, walking, which is kind of the topic here, is one of the easiest and cheapest ways to be physically active. Almost anybody can do it. You can do it almost anywhere. It's gentle, low impact on your joints if you're like me and your joints are starting to get a little arthritic, or if you're not in the best physical shape. It's a very simple way to start being physically active. Research has shown that brisk walking is effective as jogging. So when you're driving around town and you see people with all their jogging gear and headbands and fancy shoes and all that, and you kind of feel bad about yourself saying, gosh, I wish I could do something like that. Well, you really can. You don't need lots of fancy equipment. It doesn't hurt, but you don't need it. All you need is a safe place and a good pair of shoes and clothes. Clothes are not optional, so, okay. The Surgeon General, the Centers for Disease Control, the American Heart Association all agree that everyone needs a minimum of 150 minutes of moderate activity a week. Now that breaks down, it breaks down to 30 minutes 5 days a week. It doesn't have to be 30 minutes 5 days a week, as long as it's in 10-minute increments and as long as it totals 150 days a week. Most of us don't have the time to exercise 7 days a week, but 4 to 5 days is much more manageable for most of us. But remember, keep in mind, at least 10 minutes at a time. If you do it less than 10 minutes, you're not getting much benefit from it, but at least 10 minutes at a time for a total of 150 minutes a week. And if you don't have lots of time, if you have a really busy lifestyle, there are really simple things you can do to get your 10-minute increments to total 30 minutes a day. When you go to the grocery store, you can park farther away so that you have to walk to the store. You know, it always amazes me, the people that circle the parking lot and they'll search for a spot for 30 minutes so that they don't have to walk 5 feet more. So park further away. Use the stairs if possible rather than an elevator. Now, I'm not suggesting that you walk 5 flights of stairs, but if you have 1 flight, certainly that's an option. Walk your dog, or if you don't have a dog, get one. And then walk your dog. And if you find that it's just boring, find a partner to walk with. That will keep you motivated, and you can incentivize each other to keep walking. Some of the benefits of walking: it reduces the risk of many illnesses and injuries. There's a lot of anecdotal evidence, and then there is some concrete research that backs this up. Some of the things that we know for a fact that moderate activity, and I'm going to interchange walking and moderate activity back and forth. Some of the things we know that it can help us with is it reduces the risk of heart disease, it reduces high blood pressure, high cholesterol, it can help manage your stress, lower anxiety and depression. It has been proven in women to reduce the risk of breast cancer, and it has been proven to reduce the risk of diabetes. Or if you already have diabetes, it helps you manage your diabetes. It improves your sleep, it helps your lung function, manage your weight, energy level, posture, bone density if you're starting to get older, and especially if you're female. As you get older, your bones tend to, you lose bone density and you're at higher risk for fractures. Walking helps increase bone density, and it helps your immune system. Any questions so far? All right, I've got you riveted. I've got you right in the palm of my hand, right? So when you're doing any sort of activity, and again, moderate activity, walking, we're using interchangeably, remember the FIT principle. FIT is an acronym, and we in healthcare love acronyms. F-I-T, FIT. F, frequency. I already kind of talked about it before. 5 to 7 days a week. I, intensity. People often say, well, Clay, how hard should I work out? A good rule of thumb is the talk test. And what I mean by that is you should be able to talk while you're exercising. If you're so out of breath that you cannot talk, you're doing it too hard. But you should be breathing slightly hard. It should not be a normal conversational tone. So the talk test, which relates to intensity, you should be able to talk slightly out of breath but not gasping for air. And finally, T, time, it should be 30 to 60 minutes a day. Again, you can do it in 10-minute increments. You can do it 3 10-minute increments. Some safety tips, though, before we get into the walking part. There's a lot of great things about Williamson County. One of them is that we have lots of great parks. We have lots of great facilities like this, and lots of areas that we can use to walk. It's also very safe. With that being said, we're sharing the planet with some strange people, so you always have to keep safety in mind. If you walk at dawn, dusk, or night, wear white or wear some sort of reflective vest or bright colored clothing. If possible, walk with a group or a partner. But if you're going alone, tell somebody that you're going, tell them where you're going and when to expect you back. If you're a lady, or even if you're not, don't wear a lot of jewelry. Jewelry attracts people that you don't want to attract necessarily. Don't wear headphones, even though I see a lot of people doing that, and yes, it does help pass the time. When you wear headphones, you're not as aware of cars or dogs or other things that are going on around us. Be aware of your surroundings, that's kind of a given. If possible, carry your cell phone with you. Use common sense. Every time I give some sort of speech, my takeaway is use your common sense. If something doesn't seem right or something doesn't seem safe, trust your intuition. It's always better to be safe than sorry. Also pay attention to the weather. Safe outside temperature to be walking, doing exercise, or even mowing your yard is between 40 and 80 degrees. Now, living in Middle Tennessee in August, you very well know it's a lot warmer than 80 degrees. And so then you may want to adjust your schedule to walk in the mornings or the early evenings when it's not quite as hot. Remember to drink lots of fluids in all kinds of weather. We get just as dehydrated, if not more, in cold weather than we do warm weather. It's just more obvious in warm weather because we're sweating bullets, kind of like I am now. Like your mom said, wait 30 to 60 minutes after you eat. Wear sunscreen all year long. You're just as susceptible to sunburn in the winter as you are in summer. Again, you're probably not aware of it because it's cold. Pace yourself, especially if you haven't been walking in a while, or we're coming out of the winter time and we've been couch potatoes. We really haven't been as active as we should be. It's not reasonable to go out the first day of spring and expect to walk an hour or expect to do any sort of major physical activity for an hour. So pace yourself. Like the old saying, Rome wasn't built in a day. So it's okay to start out at 10-minute segments and increase your time as you go over the season. Warm up and cool down before and after exercises, including stretching. This is going to prevent any sort of injuries, especially if you're into the more intense, strenuous exercises. Stretching is going to help you a lot. Now, we could probably spend a week at a time talking about different warm-up, cool-down, stretching exercises. I don't want to do that. You don't want me to do that. So what I recommend to you is go on the internet and Google or whatever your favorite search engine is, warm-up, cool-down exercises for walking or stretches for walking. I did that earlier late last week, and there were thousands and thousands of hits that I got or websites that were pulled up. So the great thing about the information age, there's lots of resources out there that are available. Wear appropriate shoes. Everybody remember the movie Forrest Gump? He said, you can tell a lot about somebody by the kind of shoes they wear. He's right, you really can. So wear sensible shoes. In the rehab department, we see a lot of ladies who have worn high heels, really tight shoes all their life, and they come in with different foot and ankle problems. So wear sensible shoes. So those are some safety tips. Going back to stretching, I wanted to touch on some things. If you do go on one of these websites that shows you stretching, you're going to, hopefully they will inform you things like this. Don't bounce. You know, I see people when they're stretching, they want to bounce. That's wrong. Don't do that. Hold each stretch for 10 to 15 seconds. Breathe. Don't hold your breath. I don't know what it is. Everybody wants to hold their breath, but it's, I don't want anyone to pass out. So breathe. And finally, my overall takeaway message is stick with it. What often is, I always get this mixed up, what often is simple isn't necessarily easy. It's simple to start a walking program. It's intellectually, we know it's the right thing. We know that we should get 8 hours of sleep. We know that we should eat a diet low in fat and high in vegetables and fiber. It's simple. We get that. But it's not necessarily easy. And what I mean by that is it's not necessarily easy to stick with it. So try to find ways to keep yourself motivated. Plan your exercises. Keep a log of your walking. Set goals. Reward yourself. I talked earlier about finding a partner or a group that you can motivate each other with. Some people like to walk the same route every day at the same time. Other people need variety and they want to go to different places. That's okay. If the weather's bad or it's night, go to one of the mega stores or go to the mall and walk there where it's climate controlled. And overall, have fun. That's what it's all about. So, I never can tell how long I've talked. I don't know. Holly, do I need to do one of these or do I need to do one of these? Oh, okay. Let's see. Gee, I was hoping for one of these instead, but okay. What sort of questions can I answer for you? Be nice to me and I'll be nice to you. How's that? Yes, ma'am.
Is it best to stretch before you walk or after you walk?
The question is it best to stretch before or after? And the answer is yes. Next question. No, I'm just joking. It's best to do both. It's important, especially if you're going from sitting here in a chair or sitting on the couch for a prolonged period of time. You want to stretch your muscles, prepare them in order to start moving. There's lots of cellular and physiological things going on the cellular level that I won't get into, but you want to turn on your muscle fibers, get ready for the walk, and then after your walk, you want to spend about 3 to 5 minutes cooling down or stretching down at the end so that your muscles don't go from a hyperexcited state to nothing. Usually, when you first start an exercise program, and we've probably all done it, you start out hard and heavy, and the next day you're sore. Well, one of the reasons you're sore is because your muscles produce lactic acid, and if you don't cool down properly, that lactic acid will stay in your muscles, and that's the soreness you feel. So if you cool down and you stretch afterwards, it will help pump out that lactic acid, and you won't feel quite as sore. Thank you. Great question. Yes, sir.
Is it better to walk outside or using a treadmill? Which is better?
The question is there a better setting, outside versus inside versus treadmill? And what I would say is whatever motivates you the most. I said earlier, some people like routine. They like walking the same route, the same way, the same day. Some people may have a favorite program on television, and that's when they get on the treadmill, and they want to watch Jerry Springer or whatever happens to be on at the time. In no way am I endorsing Jerry Springer. So what I would say is whatever motivates you. For me, I like being outside. I have dogs. I like walking my dogs. And I will say also, we talked about the FIT test and or the frequency, intensity, and time. I shoot for 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. Honestly, there are some weeks I don't quite make it. If that happens, and it will happen, the important thing to do is don't throw up your hands and surrender and say, well, I gave it a good shot, but I just couldn't stick with it. Anything worth doing is going to take time, and you have to stick with it. It really is a lifestyle change. It's, you know, if you're into walking or exercise to lose weight, you're not going to lose 10 pounds the first week. You're not going to lose 1 pound the first week. But you have to be diligent, stick with it, and keep your eye on the long-term objectives and goals. And for most people, when you start, at least for me, when I start feeling better, that's what motivates me to keep doing it. And good sleep, weight loss is just one of the positive side effects that I get with it.
Sir,
yes, sir.
when it comes to your liquids, is it better to drink a lot before you start walking, or have it with you and take sips as you're walking?
The question is about, if I'm going to paraphrase this, is hydration. How much should you drink and what should you drink, and as it relates to when you're walking. And it's really interesting. I was talking with one of my physical therapists at lunch yesterday, and we were talking about hydration. And he's been doing some self-study on it, and he really feels like a lot of our everyday aches and pains and fatigue and just run-down feeling is the fact that we typically go around dehydrated. The best thing you can drink is water. We tend to drink a lot of caffeinated drinks, colas, coffee, Gatorade, a lot of these, you know, and especially marketing and television commercials try to convince us that Gatorade and Powerade is the greatest thing. Oh, it rehydrates you, it gives you all these vitamins and minerals that you lost. That's a bunch of bunk. They didn't have Gatorade 100 years ago, and they did okay. Water's the best thing for you. Water is what our bodies were designed to metabolize and use. So I would say both. I would say, I don't think there's a wrong answer. The worst thing that could happen is you're going to have to go to the bathroom a lot. So I say hydrate before, hydrate during, and hydrate after. It's okay to carry a bottle of water with you, but certainly I would say before and after, especially as we start to get into the warmer months, and we have such high humidity here that we lose sweat real quickly. It's important to replace that. Thank you. That was a great question.
Going back to recovery time.
Yes, sir.
You talked about in the first question.
Yes, sir.
After you've had your post-exercise soreness, how long does it take to get over that, and should a person go right back out the next day and do it again?
Couple things to keep in mind. When you're first starting any sort of exercise program, it's important to pace yourself. Now, I myself haven't always been a good practitioner of that. I'll say, oh, I'm going to get fit this year, and I'll go to the gym and lift a bunch of weights, and the next day I can't raise my arms. Well, that means I overdid it the first day. So the first part of your question is to pace yourself, take small bites, as they say, and yes, when you feel that soreness the next day, day two, you'll exercise, and the next day, what I would call day two, you'll feel soreness, and then usually day three is worse than day two, and at that point, a lot of people drop out because they say, gosh, I'm just not cut out for this or whatever. No, it's important to keep going. As you move, as you hydrate, drink water, you're going to flush that lactic acid out of your muscles, and you're going to flush the soreness out. So don't give up, but you have to also pace yourself. I would encourage that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, you just need to know that you're
Well, you know, I'm kind of a wimp. I have a low pain threshold personally. As a typical man, if I get a sniffle, I'm on the couch going, oh, I'm dying. Or I think what you want to do to avoid that initial soreness is really pace yourself. It's not reasonable to think that we're all going to go out and run the Music City Half Marathon this weekend if we haven't been training for it. Take small steps, take small bites. Again, the internet is a wonderful resource, and if you have an iPhone or an iPad, there are lots of apps about couch to 5K or couch to half marathon. There are lots of guides out there that really spell out, okay, week 1, day 1, walk 10 minutes. Week 1, day 2, walk 15 minutes. Week 1, day 3, cut it back. So I think the key that I'm trying to get at is try not to bite off more than you can chew, especially with a new program. And above all, if you have health issues, talk with your doctor before you start anything too intense. This is supposed to be helpful, and the last thing I want to do is put someone in a situation where it's not helpful. Yes, sir, you had a question?
Is walking better than pool exercise?
There's a lot to be said for both. The research that I know of is that pool exercise are really great if you have joint problems. Now I will say a few years ago I decided to do water aerobics, and I got into a class with some of the senior ladies and they put me to shame. I was embarrassed, so I didn't go back, but you know. The important thing is get some sort of exercises, whether it's pool, some sort of aerobic exercise, whether it's pool, walking, slow jogging, mowing the yard. If you golf, walk the golf course, which if you're a golfer, you know that's not as easy as it sounds, especially if you play like I do. You'll end up walking a half marathon. So I think that there's no one best exercise. I think you have to find something that you enjoy, that keeps you motivated and works for you. A lot of people get a lot of satisfaction and benefit from pool aerobics or lap swimming. Some people need to be outside to get a change of scenery. So whatever works for you. Yes, ma'am.
Can you talk a little bit about heart rate monitors? Whether that's a good thing or to train?
You can. You know, when I was putting together some of the bullet points for this presentation, that's one of the things I thought about including, but I said, well, maybe not. I don't want to get too deep into it. There is a target heart rate that we have, that as people we have, depending on your age, that you would target, depending on what your goals are. There's a target heart rate if you want to work on your lung strength, lung capacity. There's a target heart rate if you want to lose weight, which quite honestly is the one that I'm usually targeting. And there's a formula that you can work out that you can determine, okay, my heart rate needs to be X number of beats per minute for my age range. And it does vary by age. The older we get, our target heart range decreases. So again, I would encourage you to go onto your favorite search engine and type in target heart rate, and you'll have more information than you could possibly ever want. But commercially, there are different gadgets and devices that you can purchase that you slip on the end of your finger. I've seen the one that straps around your chest. There's one that even clips on your ear that will measure your heart rate. That it can either be on a watch or a monitor that will give you an instant number, an instant feedback. You can also use the old-fashioned way, which is the 2 fingers against your carotid or against your radial artery. Yes, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
How important is dress, the clothes that you wear while you're exercising?
You always want to wear something, you don't want anything too constrictive. You want loose-fitting clothing. I always opt for lighter colors because if it's during the day, it will help reflect the sunlight and keep you a little cooler. And at night, it helps that people see you. Shoes are, good fitting shoes are very important. It's recommended that if you really are serious, I know some runners who change their shoes or buy new shoes every 3 to 6 months because the treads, like on a tire, will wear down, and it does affect your performance. For most of us who aren't competitive runners, you know, I wouldn't go out and spend hundreds of dollars on fancy equipment. You've probably got everything you need already at home. A good pair of sneakers, tennis shoes, shorts, and a t-shirt. You know, I've been at some of the sporting goods stores, and there's all sorts of Under Armour, and Reebok have shirts that say, oh, it wicks away sweat, or this one keeps you cool, or this one makes you smarter, or whatever. But there's a place for those things, but for most of us who are doing this for health and fun, we don't need the professional level gear. I mean, there's a whole industry focused on exercise clothing, equipment, and they would be more than happy to take your money. The honest fact is you don't need all that. Did you have a question?
Yes, sir. I played basketball, and it's basically constant running.
Uh-huh.
Would I stretch before playing basketball?
Absolutely. The question is, would he stretch before playing basketball? Absolutely. Especially, that's an activity where, excuse me, that's an activity where at times you'll go from running really fast to maybe jogging to having to stop on a dime and go back the other direction. When you do those things, it puts shearing forces on your muscle, which means that if you change directions, it's like slamming the brakes on your car. And we've probably all done that at some point. When you slam the brakes on your car, you hear that screeching as your brake pads meet the tires. Same thing's going on with your muscles. It's probably not something you want to do a whole lot. So absolutely stretch, warm up before basketball, before any activity. I'm sorry, I'll come back to you.
Working out first thing in the morning or in the evening, is there pros and cons or benefits to one versus the other?
No, not really. Personally, I've tried both. I find that if I do it in the morning, I'm getting pretty tired by 1 or 2 in the afternoon, you know. But some people like to get up early and get it out of the way, and they say they feel energized throughout the day. So I think it's really personal preference. The important thing is consistency, 30 or 150 minutes a week. 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week is a pretty good rule of thumb. Now, I will say, if you do more than 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week, you'll get even more benefits. 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week is kind of a minimum of what you want to do. Yes, ma'am.
If I do perhaps get an injury while exercising, can I call the physical therapy department and make my own appointment, or do I need to get referred by a physician? And what are your hours?
We would love to have your referrals, but in the state of Tennessee, as in most states, our Practice Act limits us. We don't have direct access to people. If you do have an injury, and I hope no one does, but if you do, we'd be more than happy to help you. We do need a referral from a physician. It could be your primary care physician. It doesn't have to be an orthopedic or a specialist. It could be your primary care physician. In the state of Tennessee, we can even take referrals from dentists and chiropractors, although we'd rather not. But, you know. Thank you. Y'all have had great questions. I was afraid I was going to have to stand up here and come up with 10 minutes of material, but y'all been great. Thank you.
I tend to start out, real strong and then get shin splints. So how do I stop that? So then I don't have a soreness, I don't have to keep going.
Shin splints are a bear to deal with. They can really slow you down and are a big demotivator for a lot of people. what I would suggest is really concentrate on stretching your calf muscles before you go. I mean, not an overstretch, but you really want to get your muscle fibers fired up, prepared to take that activity, and to pace yourself. Often what we see with shin splints, especially in runners, it's people who are long distance runners, or after about 20 minutes they'll start to feel shin splints. It's probably your body's way of saying, all right, I've had enough, you need to slack off now. And then what we do is we say, no, I'm gonna work through this, and then the next day we feel even worse. Now, anyone who engages, I would consider running a high intensity activity, but you should be aware if you're engaging in a repetitive motion activity like walking or jogging, you are susceptible to some sort of injury in the form of a muscle strain, like you overdo it or overstretch. That's why I've emphasized so much pre-stretching, post-stretching, warm up and cool down. That's probably going to help your shin splints the best. Now, with that being said, if you do find that you're getting shin splints, the acronym RICE, rest, ice, which you put like an ice pack, or what I found really works really well is a pack of Jolly Green Giant frozen peas or corn. That works great, and then you can eat it later. Rest, ice, compression, which is the form of a wrap or something. I would probably say if you don't know what you're doing, might avoid that. And elevation, which means if you've got a lazy boy, that's a pretty good excuse to use it. Or if you're lying in bed, elevate your legs with a pillow. Yes, please.
I just have a question. Why would you say you wouldn't want to take a referral from a dentist?
Oh no, not a dentist. I was just joking. We can take referrals from dentists.
Or a chiropractor?
You had a question?
Yes. My husband's a chiropractor, and he went through 6 years of schooling and
okay.
9 months a year.
All right. I'm sorry. I didn't mean anything by it. Okay.
Does it matter what type of surface that you walk on? Is it better? Can you avoid shin splints if you're on grass versus pavement, or
the softer the surface, the better. A lot of I don't think I've used any tracks around here, but there was a high school in the town I lived in previously. The track was made out of like a rubberized surface. That's typically better. Grass is good. Unless you're really doing high impact stuff, I think you're going to be okay. But so the walking trails around here are fine. Anything else? Okay, thank you for your time. We have brochures if you'd like to take a look, or I'll be hanging around and be available.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
But not only here, but at all our parks in Williamson County. We've been very fortunate and blessed through our county mayor and the commission, who spend a lot of time and money and resources on our park system in Williamson County, which we're very proud of. This time I'd like to introduce Williamson County Mayor, Mr. Rogers Anderson.
Thank you, Doug, and thank you all for coming out this morning. I'm dressed to walk here in a few minutes, and my fellow mayor here in the city, Dr. Ken Moore, is also here today to demonstrate the importance and the significance of what we're doing today. I couldn't help but try to chuckle a little bit, not picking on Ken, of course, of what Debbie said about you could get on the trail and go 0.8 of a mile and you come out down below the CVS. You'll get there a lot quicker if you walk it rather than try to drive it this morning. No disrespect to Ken or anything. It's quite a traffic mess down there. Another reason to walk, isn't it, Ken? Let me say how gratified I am that we have one of the best parks and recreation. I know Ken feels that way too with his and the city. Lots of money, lots of time, lots of effort have been put into making this one of the best communities in which to live in Williamson County. And I firmly believe that it's not always just schools and good jobs. Those are important for us to move here. But it's also very, very important that we have a very fit community. And I may not be the poster child for it, but I have in the last several years tried to make it a standard practice in my neighborhood to walk, which is about 2 miles an evening. And I find that I'm able to do and perform this job a lot better when I'm physically fit. I would disagree with Williamson Medical Center about walking in the morning. I'd have to have a nap by 12 o'clock if I walked in the morning. My time is best in the evening when the dogs are barking and the lights are out and the moon's shining. I seem to perform better mentally at that stage and sleep a lot better. So it is important. And you know, Williamson County, which is made up of 6 cities, just recently got named as one of the most fit counties in the state of Tennessee, and that's not just by accident. We're very fortunate in Williamson County to have some very good wage earners, and they put a high priority on what they eat and how they exercise and how they live their life, how they perform their jobs, and all of that is important for all of us to live a quality life that we've come to enjoy, whether you're age 25 or you're age 65 as I am. It's interesting to me to also to how exercise and how living a quality life plays such an important role when you get a bunch of grandchildren like I have got here recently. And I've been very blessed in the last 4 years to have 7 grandchildren in 4 years. And just to keep up with them, a 4-year-old is quite a challenging and daunting task. But it also, I want to see how they live their life and to set a better example for them. And I think that's important to all of us also. So again, I encourage you, come on up, Ken. This is Dr. Ken Moore, Franklin City Mayor. Many of you know him. He's a dear friend.
Are you through?
I am when you come up.
No, you're not. Rogers and I enjoy working with each other, and we have a great working relationship, and that's very important for a community and a county to be successful, that the leaders are able to talk to each other and work together. But I'm excited to be here today also and help kick off this National Walk Day. You know, I want to refer back to the same study that Rogers was referring to that showed that we are the healthiest county in Tennessee. Way to go. And, well, you won't be clapping in a minute. Probably we're also the healthiest city in Tennessee. But here's the bad news. We're fat. You know, we're still some of the fattest. I'm sorry, Rogers. Well, I'm just giving the statistics. You know, the healthiest.
See, I'm glad that phone. Good job, Doug. Get him off the stage now.
Well, the statistics do show that many of those other factors that contribute to our health, we're not doing very well on them right now, and it's events like this that highlight the importance of getting out and moving around. It doesn't take, you know, 2 hours at the gym. It's just a simple, small amount of exercise every single day that can make a huge difference. You know, the great thing is our community recognizes the importance of exercise. One of the things that they identify in community surveys, I can't believe this. Are you calling me again, Rogers? On our community surveys, one of the most important things to our community are greenways and open spaces, and the ability to get out and walk and live an active lifestyle. And that's one thing that the city tries to promote and encourage with developers, and that's one of the things that are important to developers now, to build communities that are, again, walkable, where you can walk to church and walk to the grocery store and have that opportunity. So, you know, one of the biggest cripplers we have in America is heart disease. And it's just one of those simple things that you can cut down your chances for having complications from heart disease just simply by exercising a little bit every day. So I applaud you for being out today to participate this and help spread the word, and appreciate the opportunity to be on the podium with you, Rogers.
Well, Ken's such a wonderful person to work with, and when you've got the professional title that he does as a doctor. He is a physician by trade. If you don't exercise, in his younger days, he would operate on and do surgery for those body parts. So he understands the value of exercise. So we need to put him out of a job to exercise, and not really. So, Debbie, thank you. Doug, thank you for putting this on. Again, thank you. Please step outside and enjoy a nice brisk walk with us this morning. If you can't do this one, we have another one at 12 o'clock I get to do at the Administrative Complex. It's about a mile walk also. And then if you can't do that one, come on up to Brentwood at the indoor sports complex. We're going to do another one of those. So we've got about 3 good miles to walk today. I will not be in the office at 4. Enjoy us.
Thank you both, Mayors. At this time, I want to remind you that Williamson Medical Center has provided some reusable water bottles for your future walks. And we have also provided water for today. So feel free to grab whichever of those you'd like before your walk. And if you want to come back in and pick it up after that, they'll be sitting right here on the table. There are physicians' directories to keep you healthy with all the physicians affiliated with Williamson Medical Center, and some other literature over here, and some Frisbees. So if you want to go walk, play with your dog, we'll give you a Parks and Rec Frisbee for that. And we want to thank Williamson Medical Center for helping put on this event today and bringing it to our attention through the American Heart Association, and for our speaker who informed us all about the right way to and the wrong way to walk. So I'm sure they would entertain any questions. If you have them, they'll be around after we make the loop outside. So at this time, we'll gather and head out this door and head to the walking path.
One, two, three.
Let's go walking.
All right.
Since you're walking with all these people, how many
Hi there, I'm Mandy Joyce with the American Heart Association. We're here on National Walking Day, and I just want to thank both Mayor Anderson and Dr. Looney for your support of the American Heart Association's Walking Day, and also congratulate Williamson County for being recognized for our American Heart Association Gold Level Fit Friendly Employer status. So really making an effort and making a focus on health and wellness in Williamson County, and we cannot say thank you for your support anymore. So, and I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Looney, and let him say a few words.
Well, thank you. It's good to be out here and it's good to be walking today. I appreciate all of the wonderful employees of Williamson County Schools for coming out and supporting and leading by example, and that is by staying fit and showing boys and girls that walking is a good thing. So look forward to putting some miles on these tennis shoes with the mayor today.
Dr. Looney, thank you. We appreciate the American Heart Association spending time and energy down here. And as many of the employees know, just recently Williamson County was recognized throughout the state of Tennessee as being the healthiest, fittest county in the entire state of Tennessee.
Congratulations.
And that's now, oftentimes there's still room for improvement, and we do. And one of those is just having a healthier heart, eating better, and certainly getting plenty of exercise. And we want to thank all of our employees. A lot of them have been training for this, Dr. Looney, on a daily basis, running up and down the halls. Our risk manager is really getting a little nervous here lately. But we do thank everyone, and we encourage people to participate where you can at home. You do not necessarily always have to go to the gym. There's plenty of trails in our parks and our roads that are identified. So take advantage of that, and again, thank you for coming out. So without any further words, let's get busy walking here and set a good example for all the taxpayers as they're coming in today. Thank you. One of the things that I inadvertently overlooked is the strongest partner we've got, and that is Cigna, and we want to say thank you for them, of their contributions, their involvement in it, and I inadvertently overlooked that. It's on the poster, but a lot of this just could not be possible without their financial commitment and what they do for all of us here in Williamson County on our health insurance plan, keeping us in line with the dollars and cents. And Tim, thank you very much for what you do, and I'm sorry that I overlooked that. All right, ready to go walking? All right, Dr. Looney, lead the way. Here we go.
Boots made for walking. These neon leaves.
Now what do we do?
Thank you.
Good and healthy this morning.
Well, you guys are great supporters of ours as well, so we can't say thank you enough for that.
Because everybody's so
Squeeze up.
We want to say thanks to everyone today for coming out. This is our second event today, and totally we probably had 250 people to come out and participate in this walk, and certainly it could not be possible without the American Heart Association and Cigna. We appreciate their efforts and their involvement in keeping us aware to have a better Williamson County, and certainly for all of our employees.
Yeah, Tips come in, Edmonds and our over the Alamo thing, and we don't have anybody left in our budget. So we're going to have to, once you get our general fund, we're going to need our permission to do it. Look at it, look at pretty shoes.
It's got a the traffic is walking. Video us. Yeah. I'm not saying and the threat of being hit by a car. So it's really good to go. Yeah.
I'm Staff Sergeant Meg Krause. I was on active duty for 5 years. I was a medic, and we always say that when everybody else has to turn away and pull security, we have to turn around and face the damage. My psychological health, I didn't think it was an issue when I came home, but one of my soldiers actually said,
I think you might be suffering from PTSD.
I came back from Iraq and I had PTSD too, and that's how I know the symptoms of what Sergeant Krause is going through. You have to talk about it, because if you hold it in, your life just gets miserable.
The VA hospital did something that was really amazing, and that was give me the help I needed, exactly when I needed it, in a manner that makes sense to me.
She's back to the way she was when I first got in the unit as far as being a very outstanding NCO. I think it takes strength in order to admit that you have an issue, but it also takes intuitiveness of a friend, a leader, a supervisor to pick up on the signal that the soldier is having issues and needs to seek professional help in the dealing with it.
The financial problem started when I was injured at work. There was no money coming in. I had to figure something out quick.
We received our letter of default around Christmas time.
There's nothing worse than having the fear that you're about to lose your home. The desperation that goes along with that is very intense for just anyone. We did go out to see if we could find some foreclosure prevention companies, but during the conversation and meeting with them, we found out that the first thing that they wanted up front from us was money before we even filled out the application. There's lots of companies that were offering the services and making a lot of promises to us that they could save our home. I really just didn't feel comfortable with them at all, and I just decided to take another path.
There are a lot of companies claiming that they can stop the foreclosure process or help you modify your loan. You should be extremely cautious of people who make any guarantee, ask for money up front, or tell you to make your mortgage payments to them.
I called one of them loan modification specialists. They said they could help. They needed a $500 deposit and then $3,000 after that. They said they had attorneys working on their side. They would talk to the mortgage company. They took my money and they didn't do anything for us at all.
We were desperate to save our house, and I guess that's why we believed in them.
It was just a scam.
All of a sudden on a Saturday night, our front doorbell rings. I open the door and there's this lady on our front step talking at the top of her voice saying, "You're going into foreclosure, you're going to lose your home." Well, I immediately asked her to leave. I then called my servicer and they didn't know anything about her. Apparently it was a scam.
Unfortunately, there are a lot of scam artists out there. Some even look to be affiliated with the government. Their websites have official-looking logos and graphics, and their names include words like federal. Hope Now connects you with counselors that provide free foreclosure prevention assistance.
When I met with the counselor that Hope Now connected me with, I was a little suspicious when I first went in there. I noticed that she didn't ask me for any money. I really felt that there was someone finally here that could help me now. I do believe that Hope Now saved my house. If it wasn't for them, I don't know where I would be. We probably wouldn't be sitting here today.
Our counselor was so professional, I was impressed. She looked at our entire situation and helped guide us through the whole process. Everything that she has done was free, no cost to us.
Time is of the essence when it comes to the risk of foreclosure. No one can guarantee you can get a loan modification or that they can stop the foreclosure process. But if you are in trouble, the first thing to do is contact your mortgage company and get housing counseling. You can do this by contacting the Homeowners Hope Hotline at 888-995-HOPE. The sooner you call, the sooner you can get peace of mind.
It's very scary knowing you could lose your house. You feel like you're all alone in the world. It's hard to know who you can trust, but you can't let that fear lead you down the wrong path with people who might be out to scam you. There are real people offering real help, and they're at 888-995-HOPE.